Hello, I should be live, just waiting for everyone to sign up to join in before we start today. I've just got this on the hashtag because unfortunately I showed it back to front yesterday, but a lot of people found it. Now I'm not seeing any comments again. Let me see if there's something I need to press. Nope, I've gone somewhere I shouldn't have. Right, maybe tulips are a better thing to look at in this wind today. So we've got about 173 people so far. I can't see any comments. If you are here, please do say hello. What I might do is I might try open it on my own phone so that I can see the comments, because it's really useful to being able to see what people have to say. So we've got about 318 people ready. Again, we'll be starting in about 1 minute once we've got a few more people on. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join on. Please do say hi if you are here. Hopefully I'll be able to see it at some point soon. I'm just trying to work out what I've done to stop me from seeing it. Excellent. Zuleika's got it. She's here. So Claire was just asked whether we can tell you a little bit more about Ivory Environment Centre. So we exist, it's our 30th birthday in September. Hopefully we'll be reopened by then. And we do a lot of different things here. We have school trips come and learn about nature. We also have volunteers and supported volunteers who come along either independently or with their carers to come and do gardening here. And we do family activities in the school holidays, so obviously we will not be doing any in the Easter holidays, so please do not try and come here in the Easter holidays. I don't seem to be able to see the messages again, but I'm going to start anyway. I'm really sorry. Please do post if you've got the answers, and Emily will be watching this from where she is and she'll be able to keep an eye and hopefully respond to some of you whilst it's going on. So yeah, that's not going to work. Hello everybody, welcome to Ivory Environment Centre. We are closed, please do not come and visit us. Today we are looking at water nymphs and larvae. So when you think about water nymphs, you're probably like me, you think about mythology, you think about these beautiful maidens diving about in the streams, and it's not quite like that. So a nymph is a baby animal, a baby arthropod, an invertebrate, something that doesn't have bones inside its body. So what an invertebrate does, if a water nymph, instead of having the bones inside their body, they have them on the outside like a suit of armour. And when they get too big for that exoskeleton, that suit of armour, they grow a new one underneath, and then they climb out of it when they're ready. So water nymphs are, I've just realised, I was going to say something to you guys. I was going to tell you guys how much I had enjoyed seeing your plants. So thank you to everyone who commented last time. As I said just now, I wasn't able to see it all, but I did really enjoy looking at the comments afterwards, and I loved seeing everyone's flowers. There were so many, too many to comment on, but I just really liked the way people got involved and they came up with some really good ideas. We had lots of drip tips, we had some thick stems holding water, we had some in all sorts of different habitats. So we had ones in the Antarctic where the roots actually went into the snow, not the ground, the snow, and then they took the water from the snow. I assume they had antifreeze. That's not a crazy idea. Plants do have antifreeze in their leaves and things if they live in Antarctic, or not in Antarctic, in alpine regions. We also saw people who had ones living in a volcano, and we saw some lovely annotations. So annotations is where you label something. So you draw a line and you label it. And we had some fantastic people labeling the different parts of the plant to show that they understood what they were doing, what they were designing. We also had people who were describing the different parts, and that was what brought it up a level, scientifically speaking, and I was really, really pleased when I saw those. I was also really impressed by people's creativity. It was amazing, the things we got. So we had some drawings, we had some pencil drawings, we had one in pastels. I think that was the one from Unicorn Land, so it's kind of fitting. We also had one made out of collages from items they found in the garden or from things they found in their home. I love the noodle roots that I saw on one of the plants. People used pipe cleaners, they used Play-Doh, they used a lovely one was made out of clay, and then there was a really effective one on the window that I really liked as well. So you guys who did that should all be feeling really, really proud of yourself, whether or not I've managed to mention your plant just now. What we are going to be doing now is we're going to be thinking about the water nymphs and larvae, and at the end of the session you're going to have another challenge. You've got a little while longer, you've got over the weekend to work on it, so I'm expecting even greater things from you guys. So as I was saying, nymphs and larvae are both young animals, young invertebrates, but they're different. So a nymph will look a little bit like the adult that it becomes. So if it's an insect, it'll have 6 legs, and it'll have that exoskeleton, that suit of armour around the outside, holding it together, helping it to move. And each time it grows a new one underneath, each time it gets too big for its exoskeleton, it looks a little bit more like the adult. The wings will get a little bit bigger. And I'm going to show you these actually, because one of the things that we probably won't see today, but if you came in the summer or the thing, are dragonfly. And so they start off quite small, the nymphs do. They get bigger and bigger, and then eventually they turn into these monsters, and they climb up the stem, they climb out of their exoskeleton, and you can see that hole in the top where they've climbed out of the exoskeleton. And then once they've climbed out of the exoskeleton, they climb out onto the stem, and they dry off in the sunshine before they fly away. So nymphs will generally do that. They'll have a 3-stage life cycle. They'll have the eggs, then they'll have the nymphs, and then they'll have the adults, which look a little bit different. However, larvae, now let's see if we can see any larvae in here. There was definitely some phantom midge larvae earlier. Let's see if we can see any. Oh yes, can you see the thing that's straight and then it squiggles? Just, let me point to you, just there. Oh, he's ran away, unsurprisingly. I would if a giant spoon came towards me. Well, those to their adult selves, they're very different shape, and so what they do is they will live as a larvae, and then they'll turn into a pupa, into a cocoon. You can see him wiggling about there now, and then once they're doing that, they're changing completely inside that pupa, and they emerge as a completely different animal. So what I'm going to do even though I know that you guys won't have ponds in your front rooms, in your living rooms, in order to have a go at this at home, I'm going to quickly show you how we pond dip. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we've got a tray with some water in, and then we need a net. Now when you're putting the net in the water, you don't want to go like that, because anything you catch going that way, you lose going that way. So instead you do something like a number 8 in the water. I'll show you now. And then you bring your net nice and quickly over to the thing. You don't tip it from a height, but you get right in the water, you turn it over and you move it about in the water so anything you found can come out. And then you look. You might use a magnifying glass to look. But what we're going to do is, I've already got some things inside, and we're going to use our microscope to have a closer look at some of the animals that we found in our pond today. So into our centre we go, and you can see my high-tech phone holding equipment, which is going to be replaced by a tripod later today. I'm just going to put you on here. I'm using stones to hold up the phone, but thank you so much for all your support with my technological challenges. There we go, lovely. So that's looking at a pine cone at the moment. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's looking at a pine cone at the moment, but we're going to look at some of the things that we found. Now, what should we start with? I think we should start with that phantom midge larvae, because we didn't get the chance to see it too closely. So in here, you should be able to see that straight thing there moving about. And can you see how you can see its organs? You can see that line down the middle where it's got its nerves in its stomach. Now, these guys are called a phantom midge larvae. What is a phantom? What do I mean when I say phantom? Yes, it's a ghost. And so why do you think this is called, named after a ghost or a phantom? Yeah, it's because you can see right through it, can't you? And you can see all the organs inside, and that's why we call this a phantom midge larvae. Let's see if I can get this a bit more focused. No, that's about as good as we'll get. So that's quite a small thing that you see. So we'll spend its time in the water, and then when it goes into its cocoon and it changes, it pupates into an adult, it becomes one of those teeny little midges that flies around. We also found some things that aren't. Actually, we'll look at the ones that are nymphs and larvae first, and then we'll look at some of the other ones. So this is a damselfly larvae. So damselfly look a lot like dragonflies when they're adults. I'm going to hold one up. There you go. That's a damselfly. The difference between a damselfly and a dragonfly is that when they're resting, the dragonfly have their wings open, but the damselfly have theirs shut. So this damselfly lives in the water. You can see that it's got those 6 legs, the same as the adult one. It's got those 2 antennae, it's got its body. It's not got any wings yet. And it's got 3 bits to its tail. Let's see if I can go a bit closer to see that. Now, people get these guys mixed up with mayfly larvae, nymphs even, because they've also got 3 bits to their tail. I should have some here. But if you look at the mayfly, these are the swimming mayfly nymphs. And you can see that their tails are a lot thinner. They don't have sort of a petal-shaped tails, and they're longer than the size of its body. These mayfly nymphs also have things called gills going along either side of its body. Can you see those sort of frilly bits going along the side of the body? Those are its gills. That's how it gets its oxygen out of the water. And so this is a bit different to the damselfly larvae that we saw. And also different, that was a true damselfly. And then these are demoiselles. And they're even bigger, these guys. They're monsters. You can see them, they're really huge. And you can actually see their wings on their back starting to grow already. But I can't, I'm really sorry, I can't seem to focus on it right now. Maybe if I move it out a bit? No, that doesn't help. I'm really sorry, guys. But you can see its legs, you can see its nice long tail parts, and its big head. Ooh, he's going off. Maybe he's going off hunting for something to see if there's any water fleas or something like that in the pot. Ooh, he's having a look over there. Oh, that's my thumb. Do you think he wants to eat my thumb? I hope not. I'm going to move away and look at something else, I think. We've also got, oh, these are quite cool. Shout out if you can tell me whether this is, when we see it, whether it's a nymph or a larvae. What do you reckon? This is a larvae, it's a non-biting midge larvae. And can you see how bright red it is? This guy lives right at the bottom. Oh, he squiggle squiggle. He lives right at the bottom, eating anything he finds at the very bottom. So that'll be dead bits of plant, dead bits of animal. He's what we call a detritivore. And he's red because of all the haemoglobin inside him that helps him to take all the oxygen out of the water. There he is, having a bit more of a squiggle. I'll leave him to it. That's the technical term, of course, squiggle. What else should we have a look at? Oh, this is quite interesting. Now, so those things were nymphs and they were larvae, but these are neither. So I'm going to show you some animals that live in the pond. If we had come a bit later, we would have found some other animals. Oh, I never showed you any of the water skaters. They're the ones that live on top of the pond. So can you... Oh, he doesn't seem to be moving at the moment. Do you think I scared him? So this little mite runs across on the surface of the water, eating any tiny things that it can find, any water fleas, things like that. And here we have a pond snail. This is a very small pond snail. They can grow quite large. And we've also got some pond snails that look slightly different. Let's see if I can get a good picture of these guys. Nope. So this is a ram's horn snail. It's called that because it is the shape of a ram's horn, and you can just about see his body at the top there and an antennae coming out there. And hang on, there's something growing on its shell. Let's have a look. Oh, this guy is absolutely covered with it. What's that growing on its shell? It's algae. So these guys move so slowly along the bottom of the water of the pond that algae starts to grow on them, and they don't mind because that's the sort of thing they quite like eating. We've also got something else that moves along the bottom of the pond, and these guys, I love them. They're part of a group that I really like. So these are called hog lice, and these hog lice walk along the bottom, again putting everything that they find in their mouth, all the dead bits of plant, any decaying animals, things like that. And again we call them detritivores. And there you go, he's given an example, he's walking along. Is he putting anything in? Can't see him, but he's making sure that his antennae isn't stuck on that piece of plant on the side. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you isn't a nymph or a larvae. It isn't even, I'll leave that there for the moment, It isn't even a, sorry, I'm going to have to put this down whilst I, oops, whilst I open this. It isn't even an invertebrate, because what I have here is a baby newt. So this baby newt, you can tell it's a baby because behind its head, at the top of there, you can see that there's lots of frilly bits. Those are its gills. Those are what help it get the oxygen out of the water. And in adult newt, those gills are hidden away inside the body. It's only in the babies that you see it going around outside. And you can tell this isn't an arthropod because this has got bones inside its body. It's got a backbone, it's got leg bones, it's got toe bones. It's only got 4. You see, it's only got 4 toes, not 5 like us. But in lots of other ways, it is very much like us. This is an amphibian, and it can, when it's a baby, it has to stay in the water. But when it's an adult, it can go out and it can leave the water, find a nice damp stone to hide under, and then return to the water when it's time to breed. So those are some of the animals that we found. Oh, hang on, this guy's moving about a bit now. Let's have a look at him. Oh no, he's frozen now. So can you remember what this one is? It's the demoiselle, and you can actually see its wings a lot better now. Now he's on the side, and you can also see how wide its tail is a lot better. And it's found something. Ah, it's looking at its reflection, isn't it? Oops. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quiz. So get your piece of paper and we're going to write down, so do a line down the middle of your piece of paper. We'll go back outside for this. And what I'd like you to do is, to, on one side, write herbivore, and on the other side write carnivore, because we're going to have a bit of a quiz about what animals live. So first of all, give us a thumbs up if you have heard the word herbivore before. Fantastic. And give us a thumbs up if you've heard the word carnivore before. Can anyone tell me what herbivore means? Yeah, so it's an animal that eats plants, okay? So on one side of your line, you're going to have the animals that eat plants. So you can either write the word herbivore, or you could draw a picture of a plant, or you can just write eats plants. It's up to you. On the other side, we're going to have carnivore. So what does carnivore mean? That's right, it eats other animals. And so you can put carnivore or eats meat on the other side. We also have animals that eat both. What might we call those? Omnivores. Yes, well done. So I'm going to read out some names, and I want you to guess whether these water animals, so nymphs and larvae, are herbivores or carnivores. Put them into the right thing. So first, mayfly. Secondly, ram's horn snail. Third, the phantom midge larvae. Then it's the damselfly nymph. The baby newt. And finally, let's go through those answers. So first, the ones with the 3 bits to their tail are herbivores. They eat plants. Well done if you got that one right. We've got, can you see that? We've got a ladybird in the water. They don't want to be in the water. They're land beetles. Let's see if we can free that ladybird. Where were we? Ram's horn snail is a herbivore. There you go, darling. And the phantom midge larvae is a carnivore. It eats water fleas. Another carnivore is the damselfly nymph. It wanders along grabbing all the different things. Baby newts are carnivores. They'll eat pretty much anything. And hog lice, they go along the bottom. This was a trick question. They're detritivores. They eat both. And so we call them omnivores or detritivores. Now, I just thought you might like to see that this ladybird's fine and he's walking around and it's going to fly off once it's ready. And so we successfully rescued that ladybird from the water. I brought you over here because I was hoping to show you a water skate. Much better, they stay where you leave them. So it's time now for us to start thinking about your challenge. So our challenge today is about life cycles. So we talked about how the dragonfly will start off in the water, walking along, eating everything that it can in the water, and then once it's big enough, it will climb up a stem, and then it'll climb out of its exoskeleton and sit on one of the leaves to dry off, and then it'll fly away and start catching its prey as it flies about. But what I'd like you guys to do is to do a life cycle for us. So for example, now these are land animals, but you might start with perhaps a ladybird like we had just then. And so you'd have the eggs, and then the eggs would hatch out to the larvae, and then the larvae will eventually make a cocoon, a pupa, and this one's attached to a leaf, but they can also attach to the side of buildings if they're not quite nice, bits of wood, anything that they think will be safe and peaceful. And then when it hatches out, it looks completely different. It looks like a ladybird, ready to go off, and if it's a female, to lay some more eggs. And you can say that this is the life cycle of the ladybird. And there's all sorts of different ways you can do life cycles. We've got one here where people have painted it on stones. So you start with the eggs on a leaf, and then when the eggs hatch out, they look like a larvae like this. So that's a caterpillar, isn't it? We all recognise those. The caterpillar will go into a cocoon, into a pupa, and then that will hatch out like a butterfly. And again, that butterfly, if it's female, can go and lay some more eggs, and it's a life cycle. So what we'd like you guys to do is either draw or present in a different way a life cycle of a dragonfly. If you would prefer to do another type of nymph or water nymph or larvae, you're more than welcome. But for those who aren't sure, dragonfly is a great one to start with. And you don't have to draw it. You don't have to build models. You don't have to paint stones. Those are just ideas. You might want to dress up and act it out. You might want to make some clothes that look a little bit like a nymph. You know, you can use all those toilet roll tubes for the legs, couldn't you, to make sure you've got 6 legs. And then when you might even want to write a song explaining the life cycle. And then once you've done it, if you can share it to our page or on your own social media using these hashtags, we love to see them. And again, at the beginning of the next session, I will give feedback to some people who I think have done an absolutely brilliant job. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for your patience with all my technological challenges. We're getting a tripod soon, and so next week should be much, much better. Take care.